All right. So I have the privilege and honor of introducing our next speaker. Our next speaker is somebody who is near and dear to my heart. This is David Tamarkin. David is the editor of Epicurious, and I have the pleasure of working with him many, many times a day. He loves also working on so much branded content for us as well. And David is going to talk to you about building a brand. So I'm not going to steal his thunder and tell you all about him. He's going to share a little bit about himself. But let's welcome David.
Hello. The first thing I'm going to do is talk to you about my outfit. I had picked out I had a very nice shirt just from the cleaners that I brought, and I had these like pinstripe pants I was going to wear, and I have these very nice leather shoes that I was going to get shown. I was going to get shown. Anyway, this is off to a great start. Editor David Tamarkin using the word shown. I was here this morning. This is bright. I'm going to stand over here. I was here this morning. I heard all this talk about girl bosses, and I thought, I know my audience. So I went back to the hotel, and I put on my, The future is female. I believe that. I believe the future is female bloggers. No disrespect to the male bloggers in the room. But it is really good to be in a room full of empowered women, so thank you for having me. I am going to, here I am. Here I am with a little more hair. I'm David. So Haley put together this slide for me. She wanted me to talk about myself. I plan to talk about myself for the next 45 minutes, and then I'll talk about branding for 5 minutes, and then we'll have 10 minutes of questions. So I'm the editor of Epicurious. Epicurious is a big recipe website. If you're not familiar with it, it's been around for 21 years. We'll get to that. I've been the editor there for about 2.5 years. I've been a food writer and journalist for the past 15 years. Actually, I've been a journalist for 17 years, started in hard news, very quickly learned I was a lifestyle guy. I'm based in New York now. I drink black tea now, but I have lived in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 10 years. I'm very Midwestern. Are you from Chicago? Chicago in the house? Yes, great. Any Ohio in the house? Oh, yes, yes, you and me together, Ohio, okay. So I'm very Midwestern, but now I'm, so I used to be a coffee drinking Midwesterner, and now I'm a tea drinking New Yorker. And we'll get to this silly picture. Epicurious, 21 years old. Chances are, if you have put a recipe into Google, Epicurious has been up near the top, hopefully. It was Condé Nast's first all-digital property. So think about 21 years ago as kind of the wild, wild west of the internet. I wish I could show you what it looked like then. It was I think it was basically a PDF. I don't even know if you could click on anything. It was laid out sort of like a community center newsletter. I think it was not quite black and white, but it was like sort of beige-ish. It was remarkable. We're an app, we're a website, we're social platforms, like everybody now, and like you guys, we're not a website, but we're a brand that's on all platforms. And our goal always is to talk to real home cooks. We are sister brands with Bon Appetit. And my colleague, Haley, works on both brands, and my colleague Matt, who you will hear from tomorrow, works on both brands. We work very closely with Bon Appetit, but we're very different from Bon Appetit in that we try to talk to people about the cooking they're going to do on Tuesday night when they have, a parent-teacher conference, from 5 to 7, and they have to rush home and have to feed their kids. Or a single guy like me has a parent-teacher conference, has to run home. That joke wasn't funny because it made no sense. This is just a little more about who we are right now. So video has become a huge part of who we are. Obviously, if you're on the internet and you're not doing video right now, you're doing the internet wrong. And these are some of our series. 78 million views just this year. That's in large part due to Matt Ducker, is over there, and who will be giving a presentation tomorrow, so I can't take very much credit for that. But these are some of the series that we've concepted over the past year. We're going to go into more detail into some of them. So like I said, we started in 1995, and then on this timeline, we jumped from 95 to 2014. So those are the lost years, I guess. In 2014, we joined with Bon Appetit, which is now the Food Innovation Group. That's our collective brand. In 2015, Epi relaunched, and that's when I joined the brand. I came from Chicago to head up the editorial operation, the hashtag New Epi. And we, just a little less than a year ago, we launched a brand new search. We really have to think about at Epicurious, we're not, and this is a lot of what I'm going to be talking about, but we think about very deeply about who we are and what we are to people. And we are a resource, we're a service first and foremost, we're a recipe database. So to redo our search is really to redo the soul of our organization. And so that was a huge project that we took on, and I think it worked out. I think our search is better and stronger and looks better and gives you better results. And then we just relaunched the app. I hope you guys download the app. We just got nominated for a Webby Award for Best Editorial App. We're up against National Geographic. We're actually losing to National Geographic, so if you could please vote for us, that'd be great. I'm very proud of our new app. It's one thing I love about it is that our old app was just a recipe database. You could only search for recipes on it. You could have your recipe box on it. That's great. But now when you go onto the app, it's an editorial experience. You get our articles, you get our videos. You swipe to the right, you get all our new videos. You swipe to the left, you get all our new videos. To the right, all our new recipes. And in the center is kind of what my editorial team does, articles and stuff. And then these are a little bits of some of the awards we've won and that we're nominated for this year. Webby's James Stewart Awards, 1 Emmy Award. That one we won. We're not nominated. Okay, we've seen some growth. We're a big site. We're among the biggest sites at Condé Nast, and that's saying a lot because Condé Nast is a big company. So far, this year, last month, we hit 19 million uniques, which is a lot of pressure for the editor of the site. Here we go. Social has also been growing. This is one of my favorite things we've done, beer can cabbage. So in 2015, November 2015 for Thanksgiving, one of my food editors came to me and said, I have this idea. I want to do a vegetarian Thanksgiving dish. I want to stuff a butternut squash with an eggplant, and I want to stuff that eggplant with zucchini, and I want to stuff that zucchini with one tiny scallion, and I want to serve it for Thanksgiving. I want to tie it all together. I'm going to call it Veg Duckin'. And we did it, and it was a huge hit. It was like the first viral hit we had was, when I was since I joined Epicurious. And it was such a huge hit that we wanted to recreate it. And so we were, what can we do? What's another meaty thing that we can do with that and turn it vegetarian? And I don't know. Again, one of my food editors said, "You've got it. I'm going to stuff a beer can into a head of cabbage, and we're going to put it on the grill for 3 hours, and we're going to baste it every 15 minutes, and then we're going to turn it into a sandwich." And everyone said, "Oh, it looks like a brain," and it went viral. So that's good. So that's why I'm really proud of this. This sandwich is delicious, by the way. This is just one example of how we have increased our social presence. And as you can see, the numbers here, we've gone up 35% in the past 3 years. Social is a huge challenge. It's become much more of a challenge in the past 3 or 4 months. I'm sure you guys know that. Actually, you guys might not know that. It's become a challenge for brands like me, but I think for you guys, it's actually the algorithm is favoring you right now. We can talk about that later if you want. Okay, video growth. Like I said, video is a big thing. I'm going to get to the brand thing in 1 minute. We're still in introduction. You're going to hear more about this from Matt tomorrow, but we are the #1 video brand at Condé Nast. A lot of that was due to a very strategic decision that my boss made to autoplay our videos on recipe sites, on our recipe pages. So that's a hot tip, autoplay. It gets you nice views. Did you see that number down there? That's not a typo. 3,615% growth in video views, okay? I can promise you that. I promise each and every one of you, you will experience that growth if you just turn on autoplay. I'm just kidding. Okay, now we're in the brand thing. So, like I said, I was in Chicago drinking my coffee, and I got a call from Condé Nast that said, do you want to come to Bon Appetit and work for us? And I said, hell no, I'm not working for Bon Appetit. I'm a home cook. I'm done with restaurant stuff. So I said, okay, well, then come work for Epicurious. I said, okay, I'll do that. So I went to New York, and this is where Epicurious was when I got there. So, like I said, it's an old site, and I knew the site. A lot of people know the site. It's something you use kind of. You don't have to be like a super fan of the site to use it. People use it casually and formally, I guess. But this is what we were. These are some adjectives that I came up with when I was thinking about what this site was before we relaunched in 2015. Dependable, predictable, reliable, honest, useful. These are all great things. These are wonderful things for a brand to be. In particular, I think reliable is really important, dependable. But none of these words are very exciting. These are, if this was a person, this would be like your second grade teacher, right? You want that, no offense to teachers in the house, but like that's not someone you're like gonna have a really hot date with, right? Like this is someone you're gonna have one date with and say, oh, let's be friends. In 2015, we relaunched, and I will say I can't take very much credit for the relaunch. I got there a couple months before we relaunched, and my staff had been there for, some of them for years before I got there, working on this relaunch. And when they relaunched, we put a shot of energy into Epicurious's arm, and when I look back on it now, I think about what were we like in 2015 when we relaunched, and these are the main adjectives that I came up with: clever, helpful, useful, friendly, smart. So useful, we're still useful. That's key because we're a utility. But everything else is a little better. So you think about who you want to date. Again, to stick with this analogy, which I will drive into the ground the rest of this presentation. I want to date this person. I want to date a clever, helpful, useful, friendly, smart person. I actually did date a guy once who was really good at fixing cars, and he was really sexy. So this is who we were. And that's who we were for about a year. We relaunched, and when you relaunch, it's a lot of work. I never worked more hours in my life than the 2 months I was there before we relaunched in February 2015. And the day before we relaunched, I remember thinking, oh my God, like, I know what I'm doing. I've just worked like hundreds of hours on what we're going to do tomorrow when we relaunch. I have no idea what we're doing the next day. And we have to keep on going and keep on going. So that is where a very, very strong brand comes in very handy, and knowing who you are comes in very handy because, as you guys know, you have to feed this beast that you've created. Creating it is one thing, but feeding it is a whole other thing, and you have to have a very strong base to lean on if you're going to do it right. So this is who we were. And in about a year after this, I thought, okay, well, we've done this, we've got this, we've relaunched, people have noticed, and we're working as a team together, and things are going smoothly. I did lose a little bit of hair, but that's it's kind of like the Obama effect. He went gray, I lost hair. We both had very stressful jobs, and we wanted to just evolve a little bit more, so we changed again. So in 2017, this is where we are now, 2017. We're clever, helpful, approachable, real, and fun. And as you can see at the top of this list is an acronym that we call CHARF. And that's the least enthusiastic way you can say it. You can say it like CHARF, like that, or you could say anything you want. But CHARF is actual word that we use in the office all the time. Well, it's not an actual word; it's an acronym. But for us, it's a really big part of our vocabulary. because this has become a real piece of, I don't know what this, I don't know what do I want to say here? It's just become a tool, right? It's become a tool that we use on a daily basis, whether we're writing an article, whether we're putting together a slideshow, whether making a video, creating the edit calendar for the year, doing this presentation, wearing this sweatshirt, all that is like, it has to go through, if it's going to be on the Epi brand, it has to go through this prism of Charf. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but so when I give this presentation to my team and to the sales team at work, I spend some time discussing like kind of why we evolved and, but you guys don't need to know that. We're just going to focus on Charf. And I'm going to go in a little deeper for you. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because we are all going to be creating our own Charf. So you might want to start drinking now because there is going to be, yes, I see you are. And you're not from Chicago? That's a very Chicago move. We're all going to be creating our own Charfs later today. Okay, so the first thing that's very important, the C in Charf stands for clever. And I'm going to take some water here. The reason cleverness is important to me for the Epicurious brand is because, like I said, when I was going through the 2012 list, it wasn't interesting, and people like cleverness, and the internet is a place where snark and humor and cleverness live. We are not a snarky brand. It just does not work for us. Our readers and users do not want sarcasm from us. They don't want snarkiness, and if we were to give them that, they would notice right away. That's one of the most important points I can make in this presentation, is that our readers are not as stupid as we think they are, okay? The users of the internet are not dumb. They are smart people. Americans, Earthlings, they're not dumb. They're smart. And when they come to your site, they come to your site more than once. They know who you are, and if they keep on coming back, they're coming back to get more of who you are. And when you give them something that is off-brand, they can smell it. We're like dogs. We can smell when something is off. It's like how dogs can they know when a storm is brewing. We know that when we go to a blog, a website, when we pick up a product, from a brand that we trust, and it seems off kilter, we don't like it. Okay, so we know, and that's why it's so hard, so useful to have these keys that you always put this prism through. Anyway, cleverness is important to me because we have to be viable on the internet. We have to play the internet game, so we have to be funny. We have to do a version of snarkiness that is not ever mean or snarky. Clever is the way we do it. What you're looking at here, are any of you wondering what you're looking at here? You're looking at poached egg sun tanning. This is a James Beard Award nominated series we do with Stop Animation called Cooking Magic, where we talk about the way certain things get made, like the kind of magic moment in certain cooking, in certain recipes. And then this brilliant animator named Andrew Jive in Brooklyn kind of takes it and runs with it and does clever stuff with it. This Julia Child cookie is like so fun. We have these like wonderful artists in Brooklyn who does these cookies, and then at the end of this video, we bite into her. It's clever. Okay, helpful is a huge part of our brand. Like I said, we're a resource. People are coming to us for a reason. They're coming to us because they have a problem. Usually the problem is, what am I going to make for dinner? What am I going to make for this party? What am I going to make for this brunch? Sometimes the problem is, I don't know how to make, what's the difference between baking soda and baking powder? I don't know, stuff like that. We're always, the content we do is, I would say 75% of the content we do is based on, what we think the questions people have are when they're coming to the internet. So we do stuff like this red wine stain removal. Well, how many times has this happened to you? Like you spill red wine and you're like, oh, is it club soda, or is it club soda with salt, or is it just water, or is it just I'm screwed and I'm never getting the stress back? The answer is club soda, by the way. The A, it stands for approachable. Anna Stockwell in the corner there does this video series for us called No Recipe Required. She's so charming, and and you just look at her, and she's very inviting, and it's very important for me to put approachable in our prism and have it be the A in our chart, because I want my team to be out in the world. I want people to think, oh, Anna Stockwell at Epicurious, she's the one I go to when I want to learn how to freeform a quiche or how to make a granola that I can make kind of mine, but she's going to teach me the basic skills, but I can figure out. I want Epicurious to be very approachable, but to me that means personality forward. So you see my picture up there too. I'm going to show you a video. A lot of that this year has been about just putting ourselves out there so that you feel comfortable coming to us because you feel like you have a face to come to. And again, this is also a lot about how we're just not snarky. We want to be a warm, comforting place of no judgment. That's a big part of our brand. Real. Has anyone in this room ever seen the movie Paris is Burning? It's a documentary. It's from the 80s. It's really good. It's actually maybe from 1990. When I got to Epicurious, I started using a phrase that confused my team. I said, we are all about home cook realness. Realness is not an actual word, but it's a very handy word to use. If it's not about, if it's not solving an everyday problem for a user, if it's not, when I say realness, I'm like, I read stuff in the food media all the time about like, oh, did you know goat hair trimmings are the new superfood, and everyone's drinking them in their smoothies, and they're like making everybody live to 200. It's like that kind of stuff is like not what we do. We don't do healthy fads. We don't do unapproachable recipes. We have to make it very, very real and very relevant to everyday lives. So we talk about nonstick cookware because there's sort of a shame out there in the world about you shouldn't be using nonstick. Some food publications will say, oh, if you're not using copper, you're not cooking. Well, we think that's ridiculous. We know that cleanup is easier, and that if you're making eggs in copper, you're making it hard on yourself. We talk about grilled cheese and making it for a crowd because we know there are people out there who have, their kids have their friends over and they're hungry and they're going to eat. They don't want a salad. They want a grilled cheese. And how are you going to do that in 10 minutes? By the way, the answer is you get 2 sheet pans hot. You put the grilled cheese on one. You butter them. You put them on one sheet pan. Then you press. You kind of do like a brick chicken type thing. And you put the sheet pan on the other. Wait, anyway, you guys are looking at me like, keep going. Okay, fine. So, again, it's just really important to me that we're a fun brand. Again, this is all about being a digital brand. Magazines can get away with being sort of stylish and cool and detached. Some film and video and TV can get away with that too. They can just play it a little cooler. I think the internet is a place where you have to amp it up. There's a lot of competition out there, and I just think we have to be having fun in our office, and we have to be putting that fun out in the world, and in order to get people to relate to us and get them back and make them happy. So these are the things that are important to me. And a good example of all of these things coming together is something I did in January 2016. Called Cook 90. Oh, I wanted to say, I think I have the lowest Instagram following of anybody in this room. So if you could follow me, it's at David Tamarkin, and just talk about me a lot. Just tell everyone to follow me. It's a really interesting feed. So Cook 90 is January 2016. I woke up on New Year's Day, and I thought, oh, I'm going to cook every day this month because I'm happier when I cook, and I feel like I've gotten away with cooking, and I run a cooking website, so I should be cooking more. And I wasn't going to do anything about it. It wasn't going to be for Epicurious. But by noon that day, I changed my mind. I was like, oh, no, this is going to be something we do on this website. And I had started this hashtag. And we've done it for 2 years now. And as you see here, we've gotten 70,000 participants signed up for the Cook 90 newsletter. And it's mostly a social thing. It's mostly done through Instagram. And this newsletter that we send out with recipes and tips on how to do this. So how is this chart? How is it Charf to cook every day and tell your readers about it and kind of encourage your readers about it? Well, it's sort of easy to do the H because it is helpful, because what I'm doing is I'm putting out there recipes to help people that are quick and easy for people to make. I'm putting out there, tips on how to make, how to do meal plans and stuff like just make your life easier. So it's helpful on level. It's helpful even if you're not doing the Cook 90 challenge. How real is it? Well, it's not realistic to think that people should be cooking every day, but it is real because we approached it from the standpoint of nobody does this. I'm not expecting you to do this, but and it's coming from the place of we're admitting that cooking every day is hard, that there's a reason why we're getting takeout or going to restaurants or getting meal kits. There's a reason why, cooking is dying in this country, and we want to kind of get back to that place a little bit. So there's a certain amount of realness there of just admitting cooking is hard. We're not a food brand that's going to say, why aren't you cooking all the time? That's, it's easy. Just do it. That's not what we're going to do. So the C and the A and the F is a little harder to get at when we're talking about something sort of prescriptive, like cooking every day in a month. So that was all about the approach and the video approach. So what we did is we did this. We did a video. I'm going to click once more, right, Haley? So I'm going to show you a movie. Okay, so that's how we did it, right? That's how we made it clever, approachable, and fun. Hopefully you thought that was clever and fun. I did. We did a series of 5 videos, and this was the trailer we used kind of leading up to January 1st, trying to get people to take the challenge with us and sign up for the newsletter. So we could have done this in a million different ways, right? You could have put the camera, Matt could have put the camera right on me, and we could have had like a white screen, and I could have said to you, listen, America, cooking is dying. We're all dying, right? And if we don't cook more, we're going to die faster. So let's all do. I could have taken a very serious approach, or I could have taken a shaming approach. I could have said, you're eating out all the time. Do you know how much sodium's in that fast food? Do you know how much, what you're doing to your kids? All this stuff. But that's not who we are. That's not Charf. Okay, so this is where we think all the time. Is it Charf? Is it Charfy? Next example, 3-ingredient recipes. So this was 3-ingredient recipes is what it sounds like. They're recipes with 16 ingredients. You guys are a really tough crowd. I don't know what it is, but I thought this was gonna be so easy because I came and I was like, oh, these are these girl bosses and they've been drinking. I came in here, I saw the wine glass, I was like, I've got this, and like, no, you guys are like hard. Okay, but we're gonna keep on going. 3-ingredient recipes. Okay, so it's exactly what you think it is. They're easy recipes. We do a lot of videos for these for Facebook. And they're very popular, and we've done, over 125 of them, and you can see 10,000 plus social engagements per video. It's great. So charfiness. Where does the charf come in? Well, it's sort of clever to be, I think, to make some of these things out of 3 ingredients. You can think to yourself, well, like, oh, I could do, what's an example out of a 3-ingredient recipe? A surprising one. Oh, like we did like these morning buns. They're like these cinnamon orange, not cinnamon, like these kind of sugary orange morning buns. You can do that in 3 ingredients. That's the kind of like the clever factor. Like, how do you do some of these things with just 3 ingredients? By the way, oil and salt and pepper don't count. So the helpfulness, well, we think it's helpful to give people 3-ingredient recipes because that means there's less pantry, they're faster, there's less stuff to buy, they're faster to make, blah, blah, blah. Approachable, well, I think there's sort of there's an approachability here because it's admitting, again, just like Cook 90, just like all of the stuff we do at Epicurious, it's confronting, the reality that cooking, that sometimes we just don't have the time to cook. That's the realness and the approachability here. And the fun part, again, is all in the execution. So here we go. Okay, so it's fast, and the music choice there, I think, is really where things get really charfy. Because again, we could have done something more serious. We could have had no music. We could have done a hosted video. We could have done kind of like a Martha Stewart cooking. I'm obsessed with Martha Stewart, but if you've ever seen her show Cooking School on PBS, it's great for when you can't sleep. There's no music. There's almost no set. It's just her looking beautiful. Love her, but staring at the camera. It's just very kind of bare bones and very low energy. So the energy here is what makes this charfy. I also think if you look at the end, that last bit with when you're pouring hot water into the caramel to make a glaze, that's clever, all right? I mean, that's the kind of thing that somebody, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Or that's such a clever way to reuse that ingredient and make it into something it wasn't before. Let's do one more example. Oh, this is my favorite one. Okay, get ready, because this video is a little bit longer. Lost in the supermarket. So this month on Epicurious, I'm sure you all know this. This is grocery month at Epicurious, which means we just we dig a little bit deeper into grocery store coverage. We're coming out with a list later this month of I think it's 25 or it was 32 best grocery stores in America. There's a big poll we did, and last year, one of my editors came to me and said, "Oh, there's this amazing Russian market in Brooklyn, and it's just for the Russian community out in Coney Island, and they have all this sour cream. They have like a million varieties of sour cream, and they have all this like smoked fish, and it's called Net Cost, and I want to do a story about it." I immediately said, "No, you want to do a video about it because people have to see this, right? People, it sounded so cool. I didn't really know because I'd never been there, but we took a guess, and Matt went out with Adina. That's Adina." And she went out, and we did the first episode of what later became a series called Lost in the Supermarket. What time is it? How much time do we? Okay, so we're gonna watch this. This is more like a 5-minute video, but I think you are going to absolutely love it. Isn't it good so far?
It's a frozen whole pig.
Russia, a place of vibrant culture, mysterious beauty, and mayonnaise. So much mayonnaise. I'm Adina Steinman from Epicurious, and I've come to Net Cost Market in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, one of a chain of Russian supermarkets across New York and Pennsylvania, to learn more about the food of my family's heritage. And there's no better way to explore it, aside from booking a trip to Moscow, than Net Cost's mile-long, double-wide buffet. It's time to get lost in the supermarket.
What I love about this is that the Russians will literally pickle anything. In addition to pickles, you also have whole pears that they've pickled. I don't know why they've pickled them. Apples, pickled green tomatoes, pickled watermelon. I've never had pickled pear before. It's definitely very firm. Wow, I expected it to just be tangy from vinegar, but it's actually like a little garlicky. It has like a sweet sour note to it that's really delicious. Now we're getting like into some serious carnivorous territory. I'm looking for chicken cutlets. Here it says cutlets baby. I'm very charmed by that. I'm gonna try some cutlets baby. It's a good baby cutlet. This is like busting out with chicken liver. I don't know about any other supermarket that has entire whole coils of blood sausage. This is one of my favorite things. It's actually called herring in a winter coat. In Russia, you wear a lot of layers. So here you have layers, herring, grated beets, carrots. There's definitely a ton of mayonnaise in here. Pickles, probably some canned peas, all in this kind of gorgeous stack. These are two kinds of holodets, which my grandmother sometimes makes, but I have so far in my life avoided eating. I'm gonna take this really small piece. This is little bits of chicken with this delightfully firm layer of gelatin on top. It is good. It is very flavorful, very garlicky. I'm sure it's something that really grows on you, and soon you just can't stop eating holodets.
If I want to graduate from merely tasting Russian food to actually cooking it, I need to break free of the buffet motherland. I need to explore the ingredients themselves. I need to venture further into the other aisles of net cost.
You can always tell how much one culture loves something by how many options it provides of that thing in its supermarket. Russian people really love cured meat products. It just keeps on going. There's cured pork. There's like all of these loose sausages over here. Over there is like a whole other meat section. Here they have all of these house smoked options. Could I get a slice of the veal roll? It has this delightful coil of crushed black pepper, and I'm gonna guess garlic in there too. Way more flavorful than your average smoked ham. It's really good. He looks so peaceful. Wow, this is actually pretty heavy. This is a frozen whole pig. Full-grown beef tongue is large. And yeah, cute quails all in a row. I'm not gonna pick up that rabbit, but there's rabbit too. So another thing that's very common is to give gifts of chocolate. This chocolate aisle isn't just here. It continues like all the way down this aisle, all boxed chocolates. Historical themes here too. 1924, the Russian Troika. Who could forget? Now you can remember it while eating chocolate. This pretty much looks like a normal produce aisle. You have your berries, your citrus, your apples. But I think the part of it that's most unique is the root vegetable section. A lot of times it'll be hard to find things like celery root, black radish, really enormous parsnips. Over here is barrels of food. 2 words, sour cream. This is all sour cream, easily a dozen different varieties. I like the boldness of this, Amish style, high fat sour cream. All of these are like regular fat or high fat. All of that high fat sour cream is delicious on this wide selection of frozen dumplings. Frozen fruit section in an ordinary supermarket, not super exciting, but I get very excited here because they have really unusual things like frozen red currants, black currants too. Sea buckthorn is a really unusual kind of like tart citrusy berry that's kind of trendy nowadays, but it's impossible to find fresh or frozen. Like I've literally never seen it anywhere except at net cost.
Like a shot of vodka and a bite of pickled herring, net cost is a 1-2 punch of the familiar and the strangely exotic. Armed with leaking takeout boxes and way too much buckwheat, I'm ready to do even more eating and cooking at home. Just don't ask me to eat another bite of gelatinous chicken.
All right. So you said I have 2 more minutes? Oh, 20 minutes. Okay, great. Okay. So I want to take this to you guys. Thank you for laughing at the parts that we hoped you would laugh at, by the way. How is this charfy? Now I'm kind of giving you what we think of charf. Let's start with the first one, clever. Yeah.
Just her personality. Just the way she delivers things.
Yeah, she's very had lots of jokes, lots of clever jokes. She's very quick-witted. Yeah.
I think it's clever in the aspect of it's a store I would be intimidated to go into, and now that I've seen it, I'm much more willing to go in and not feel like such an outcast.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, that's a clever idea to go into this. to not go to, if I even want to try something new, not to go to my regular supermarket for it, to go to a different supermarket, like something. Yes, skip the although Publix is a great market. Yeah. Helpful. This one's sort of easy. I'll take this one. Helpful. I mean, I think like you just said, like, you know, this is a cuisine that a lot of people watching the video might not know about. People might not know a lot about Russian food. So now if they want to go into a Russian supermarket or just even learn a little bit more about Russian food, they have this video that has educated them a little bit. Approachable. By the way, you don't have to agree with me. You can say it's not one of these things. Anybody want to give me why this hits the approachable mark?
So easy to watch.
Matt, you're not allowed to talk. But I agree with you. I agree with you. I think Adina is a great host. You know, she's not a television personality. Okay, this is the first time she's ever hosted anything. I think that comes through. I think what comes through is her deep, jubilant nerdiness about food. Right, that's kind of very compelling and very addictive to watch. Okay, so real and fun are the last two. You know, realness is the one. You know, if I had to say which one it hits the least, or which one I have the most problem figuring out, I think it's the realness. Is this real? Is this something that people really need to see that affects their daily life? No, right? They don't have to. I mean, chances are that nobody's dinner is depending on going to net cost, right, or going to a Russian supermarket. However, what I think the realness comes in is in the fact that all throughout the video, she is putting out there that these things are not familiar to her. You know, she's not going in there as like, oh, of course everybody should know what this stuff is. You know, she's going in there as someone. You know, she has Russian. You know, she's saying this is my heritage, so I know about this. But even she is like, you know, kind of laughing at some of the stuff she doesn't know. She doesn't know why some of this. She doesn't know why the gelatin is on here. You know, stuff like that. And I just want to point out that the one reason why I'm really proud of this video and this whole series is because it's not snarky. And if you put Vice in here into this supermarket store, even if you put, I don't know, there are a lot of brands you could put in here, and they would be making fun of things left and right. Okay, taking, you know, Adina steps up to that line, and she turns it positive right at the end. Right, you know, this is a real celebration of this food and never taking it down. Yes.
I would just say she's like any one of us going in there. I mean, so I do think it's real
Yes.
and
Yes.
approachable. She's just funnier maybe than a lot of us, but
Yeah.
you know, she's like any one of us, like looking at
Yes.
the products.
Yes,
Right.
she's
Yeah.
very relatable.
Yes.
She instantly draws you in because you know her. You don't know her, but you know her.
Yeah. So that's great. Okay, so those are a few examples of. This is not working now. Can we? Thank you. So that's a few examples of how we've come up with concepts and put it through the lens of CHARF. Okay, so after doing this for 2.5 years, we're good at. We can do it really quickly, but sometimes we still come up with ideas that we have to think about. No, that's not fun enough. That's not real enough. That's not helpful enough. Put it through the prism and let's see what happens. So what I want you guys to do. You were all given these Food Innovation Group note cards. I want you to think about your brand, and I want you to come up with your own acronym. And it doesn't, you know, look, I'm not giving you very much time here, so it doesn't. If it doesn't fit into a pronounceable acronym, then that's fine. But what you're looking for adjectives that describe your publication, who you are, your blog, or if you are your brand, whatever your brand is, you have to think of give me 3 to 5 adjectives that really hit it. Okay, and I don't want you to think about, okay, what the last post I wrote, does it fit all these? Don't think about that. Think about like what you want your brand to be, not necessarily what you think it is. Because if they match up, great. But if not, that's even better because now you know you have a prism you can put your stuff through to get it to where you want it to be. So we'll take 5 minutes to do this, and then I will go one by one, and I will embarrass all of you by making you stand up and present. I'm just kidding. You'll volunteer. All right. Is that enough time? Well, don't all respond at once. People, I'm here, okay? I'm not a TV. I have emotions. I can see you. I can hear you. This is not a blog. I'm not a blog, okay? Does anybody want to talk about theirs? Yes, love it. Okay, wait, should we give you a microphone? Hold on, I'll come to you. Now I really feel like Oprah, coming through the audience. Or Phil Donahue, he was bald, right?
I actually found this exercise really, really helpful because I don't often focus. I'm a chatty person and I overthink everything. So this was really helpful and I finished it in about the first minute. And my acronym is CARVE, C-A-R-V-E. My blog is The Decorated Cookie. I do mostly decorated desserts. So the first letter, clever, I borrowed because that is my word. Not to be egotistical, but that is so my word. And in my second cookbook, that was part of the subtitle, because everything I do has to be clever. It has to be some sort of unique twist on a baked good. Like, I didn't just do a copycat Twinkie recipe for Food Fanatic. It had to be Twinkie Bites, like, or on a stick. My next, some unique twist. Art is my A, because I incorporate art in almost everything I do. And a lot of my videos incorporate still shots and illustrations and things like that. Recreatable, versatile, and easy are my last three. Meaning, before I started blogging, I worked as a cookie decorator for 10 years. And I did crazy intricate designs. Like, people had very bizarre requests. I would do human organs recreated on cookies, like things like that. So when I started my blog, you're not going to do human organs on cookies, right? So I really simplified it down, pared it down to the bare essentials to be something recreatable that you can do, and something easy. Not to mention I'm lazy in my older age, and I have kids, and it's so tired all the time. So that everything I do now on my blog is very easy. It is not organs on cookies. It is. And I try and teach a skill with every single thing I do so that you can then take what I teach you and make your own, like, for example, my Easter bunny bark. Very simple pink candy melts. How do you take these candy melts and chop them up to make little Easter bunny figures and then use food writers to do the nose? It takes 10 minutes and anybody can do it. So anyway, CARVE is mine.
I
and it
love
was really
it.
Helpful too.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I like that. Give that applause, sure. Anybody else want to go? That was amazing. I love that one. I love recreatable. I think that's so important. Yeah, let's do you. Oh.
I feel
Now
like
we can talk to each other. We both have microphones. We can have a conversation, a very private conversation, just you and me.
Okay. Do you want to go in the back room?
Yes, let's yeah. Let's
I
whisper.
feel like I'm the only non-food blogger here, but I
Get
have like,
out! What? I was told these were food bloggers.
I do 2 a year. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts.
So I'm with SoCalFieldTrips.com, and I'm kind of a hyper-local blog and travel blog. I don't really know how to say my acronym, but it's FFEAI.
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 Fair.
Family, fun, educational, adventurous, and inspiring.
Okay, so take me through it. So I do
a lot of family travel
Yeah,
because I have
okay.
kids. They're fun adventures.
Yes, they have to be fun. Yeah.
And I started originally planning field trips for homeschoolers. So that's how the name came out, SoCal Field Trips. I wanted a place to share. So a lot of what I share is educational. Like if you want to do something besides Disneyland, I can tell you where to go. Adventurous, because a lot of them are adventurous.
So you can't do any. So nothing. If it's so if it's like a walk through a very safe park, not going to cut it. No adventure there.
Oh, no, I got those too.
Oh, okay, right, because there are snakes there, right? Because you're right. There's an adventure, right? No, I got it. I got you.
They're not always adventurous.
Okay,
Sometimes
okay.
they're really serious, like to a Museum of Tolerance in LA.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but that's an adventure. Yeah, I see it. Of the mind.
And then inspiring. So they have to me, make a difference in your life somehow.
Yeah.
Whether that's fun or family time or you learn something, something that creates a memory.
I love that. And do you feel like you're already putting everything through that prism?
Yeah, I do. I think from the very beginning, I kind of get off on tangents when you see money. You're like, woo. And people will tell me, they'll call me out.
Yes, that's what I mean. People are smart. They
Oh, yeah.
know. Yes, they know. They're dogs. They sense it. Did anybody write down anything that come up with an adjective that they feel like they're not doing right now, but that they want to be doing? No, you all did what you are doing now. Okay, well then that's fine, but that means that you're all perfectly on brand, which is impressive. But I think this is I just want to point out that we revisit this like you saw. We revisited this in 2017 after having one set of kind of brand guidelines in 2015, and then evolved it. And as you saw, we didn't change all of them, because if you change all of them, well, then you're just a completely different person. You're a completely different brand. But you can change sort of like 2, maybe a year. And I think that's how when you want to evolve. Like right now, I'm thinking a lot about 2019. I have all these ideas for what I want Epicurious to look like in 2019. I want it to look different. I have to get there slowly. Otherwise, our users revolt. We lose our our community. Does anybody else want to share theirs? We have got, I think we have 1 more minute. No, we have 5 more minutes. Oh yeah, we also have Q&A too. If you have questions, just raise your hand.
Okay. This one sounds terrible, but mine is harem.
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 I love it.
Helpful. So you won't forget it. Helpful. My site's budget101.com, and it's digging yourself out of debt when all you have is a spoon.
Oh, I love
Affordable.
that.
Real, because empowering, because it lets people realize they can take control of their debt and do it themselves, and making a difference, because it's the least expensive way to do it without seeking outside help. It's literally just doing it yourself.
So give me an example of one of your posts, and like what's something you would write about? Like what's the last thing you wrote about?
I do $50 weekly menus. So, because the average family of 4 in the U.S. spends between $800 and $1,200 a month, and so the site is basically reducing your grocery budget to under $300 a month, so that you're still spending that money. You're just spending it on back debts to dig yourself out of debt.
Okay, so
And
we have
that's
a $50
I do $50 menus.
menu,
Yes. to
and
show
so let's
people.
put it through harem. So it's helpful. That's obvious, right? That's
Right.
obvious how it's helpful. What's
It's
the A?
affordable.
Affordability. Yes, that's.
It's
right.
real. It's real
Yeah.
food. You're feeding your family
Right.
every month. It's empowering because you're taking control of your weekly spending and monthly spending.
That I would imagine that's all in like how you write it and how it's presented on your blog, the empowerment, which I think is great, but you could do that. Someone else could do it in a way that was not as empowering as someone like you might do it. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's how we
do.
put the fun in the 3-ingredient video. It's like all in the execution, basically.
Okay. And then the making a difference.
Yeah. Sort of your blog's making a difference. That's easy for you because your blog is making a difference just in general. So every post, but I guess you could write. I guess conceivably somebody could write a post that what's not making a difference. Like I don't know. But yeah, I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
But
I love
I
it.
struggle with my blog being too serious.
Okay.
So,
Well,
so
then,
when you were
yeah.
asking earlier, I didn't put that on this one because I thought we were supposed to, pick one. But my blog is far too serious. It's not as fun as I would like it to be, because people go on there and you're thinking about, okay, how am I going to cut this bill and where am I going to cut that, and how I've got 3 kids to feed and
Yeah.
this sort of thing. So it's hard to correlate those and make it fun at the same time. Grocery shopping when you have a couple kids in tow, that's not fun.
Yeah.
There's,
Right.
you know,
Well, take them to a Russian grocery store.
yeah,
That's
that
fun.
would be fun.
Well, so I would say, so if I were you, so if I were like a brand consultant and you were coming to me like saying, how would I make this more fun? This is a serious topic, right? So it's like you don't want to make light of it. But I would say, okay, well, you could put an extra H in the front and make it humorous. So I think in the execution, I think it'd be all about the execution and like, how can I make this, how do I up my tone, up my voice so it's like I'm making little quips here and there. And also I think that makes everything so much more real too. Like when you can laugh at yourself or laugh at a situation that's sort of not that funny, that would just be my situation. But I think it's a great example of like, okay, a great blog, great brand, you want to evolve it. So I think I would in the next year add that extra H in and try to get in as much as possible. I also this is a good opportunity for me to say that I think that if you're hitting 4 out of 5, like when my team pitches me ideas, if they hit 4 out of 5 of Charf and I think it's a good idea, it goes through. You know, like I don't think every single thing has to hit all 5 all the time. You want that, but you know, when you're producing things, you know, we put out 10 things a day, so I think 4 out of 5 is okay sometimes. Anyone else or any questions? Yeah.
Well, my blog is From a Chef's Kitchen. I'm a personal chef, and what I like to do is give people chef-inspired recipes that anybody can make. And I don't really have an acronym, but as I was writing, it turned out to be AEIOU.
Nice. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Love that.
So I'd like to, I give people approachable recipes. I like to be encouraging that, hey, you can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. I like to be informative. I like to teach them something. I was having a problem coming up with so I put out there. I like to try different things with food, like roasting a whole head of cauliflower is like all the rage, and I did it, and I thought it was really bland, and so I brined a head of cauliflower for 24 hours.
Yeah, nice.
It's little things like that,
Yeah.
and then you is useful. I just want to give people something really useful to take away after reading one of my posts.
Yeah. So the A was, remind me for that? Approachable. So I think this is a really good example of, I think here's why. So you have A, approachable, and then you have your O is out there. So that means everything, these are really key guidelines because it means everything has to go through that prism. That's a tight prism it goes through because it has to be relatable. You have to be able to do it at home, but it has to be also sort of new and, like you said, trying new things, pushing someone to try new things. And that's a very specific sweet spot that you have to fit. So I think those brand guidelines will probably come in very useful. So that's awesome. Are there any questions before we end? Yes.
So a lot of us here, I would say the majority of us, don't have a team. You have a giant team, right?
It's not a giant team. I wish, It's the smallest team at Condé Nast, but I do have a team. Yes, I do have a team.
Okay,
yeah.
so what kind of a team do you have then making all of these videos? We would love to all get into video, right? So we have a whole session here about video. So how, I mean, it's great to hear you talk about it, but for some of us, it's not really realistic to aspire to some of the stuff that you're talking about.
Well, that was probably a flaw in the presentation because this is not about a video presentation. I could have shown you galleries or article, or I mean, can I get the website up? Is that possible? Let's try it. Let's see what my team is doing when I'm not there today. Let's see if it's Charfy. Let's go to expert advice. So before I jump to this, okay. Let's just keep it here for a second. The point was not, so yes, very lucky to have a robust video team, and almost all of everybody who advertises with it, they want ads so that we get a budget to make more videos, and we do so right. So I don't expect you guys to be able to do this. I chose video because it's the end of the day, and you guys, it's good for presentation. The point of this is how we could have done all those videos and an article, gallery, interview, whatever. We could do it differently. We could do the same content and do it differently. We could have done all those videos differently, and we could have done them in ways that was not Charfy. So how do we put those through the lens? So that was my point. But let's scroll here. I'll take you through some. Let's just scroll down a little bit. This is a new thing we just launched. That's this big right here. This big guide. Called Small Bites, which is a new initiative we're doing for, for cooking with kids and cooking for families. Okay, so why one chef feeds his kid mac and cheese for dinner every night and feels completely fine about it? So let's take that. Do we think so? This is a kind of opinion piece written by a chef in Chicago who talks about, hey, my kid wants mac and cheese every single night, and I give it to her. My therapist said, do you want her to like eating dinner, or do you want her to think that eating dinner is a bad thing and it's a struggle and it's a place where she fights with you? It's got a lot of comments on Facebook, as you might imagine. So we could have done this a couple different ways. So I think this is very real. It's taking an approach that it's talking about something that parents deal with every day. A kid who does not want to eat what is put in front of them. Okay, and how do you deal with that? I think it's very approachable because it's tackling this. This is the guy saying, I don't have all the answers. This is what I did. You don't have to follow it. But like, I'm letting you in on my process. I'm kind of opening my heart to you. I can't believe I just said that, but that's true. That is what he's doing. So there's the A and the R. Okay, is it helpful? I've gotten some comments saying that this is helpful. That I'm so glad I read this. That this helped me. Think about how I feed my kid. But I wouldn't say this is not a service piece. So I'd say this is about. I give it 50% on the H. Is it clever and is it fun? Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We worked hard on that. So yeah, we try to do that with the titles. If we look at this lead, when my wife was pregnant with our first child, I thought I was going to make all the baby's food. I was working 8 hours a week at the restaurant, so I was going to make a week's worth of meals on my day off, and they'd be eating beets and anchovies and all kinds of healthy brain food. That went out the window immediately. So that's like that's a voicey, I think. It's uncomfortable for me to talk about this because it's my work, but like I think it's a voicey, clever way to start. Hopefully I worked hard on the voice throughout the piece to make it. I didn't write this, but I edited it, to make it fun and approachable. So we could have done it differently. So it's not about video. It's about like how do we take this topic? How do we talk about feeding kids and put it through a prism? And when we photograph, can we go up to those photographs again? So we had how do we talk about kids? What's our visual aesthetic going to be like? We talked a lot about when we photograph small plates, what are our props going to be? We're going to shoot it on a color because we want it to be really poppy, we want it to be bright, we want it to be like a happy place for people to come to and talk about kids cooking. When we talk, this was our kickoff piece. We're going to talk about like, what are the things that real moms and dads and parents are struggling with, and what kind of advice can we give them from a cooking, authority that's going to make their lives easier? The first one, if we scroll down, you see the first commandment. There's no shame in buttered noodles. All right. So we could have headlined that differently. The point of this is not necessarily about buttered noodles. It's about relax a little. You're so much pressure to give your kids, like Jason said in that macaroni cheese piece, brain food, feeding them beets and anchovies all the time. Not anchovies is brain food, and we're saying, just take some of the pressure off, and don't shame yourself because that's only going to make your life harder. So these are the things. So we could have headlined that anything, but we gave it that headline. So what I'm trying to show you here is that this is not about video. This is about putting every piece of content through a strict prism of charfiness. And we are creating 2 video series in this too. But does that help? I know that doesn't help you make videos, but does that help explain what I'm talking about? Yeah. Any other questions?
As Epicurious has evolved and rebranded, what do you do or what have you done with old content that maybe doesn't fit your current brand? Do you just keep it there? Do you redo it? Or what have you done?
If it performs, I keep it there.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
But if it,
yeah.
Even if
but
it,
here's
it
what we do. So this is a great question, something we struggle with because as you can imagine, we've been around for 21 years. So there are pieces that we wrote that, what's a good example? One great example is people flock to the internet every day trying to figure out how to open a wine bottle without a wine opener. They're at a picnic or they're somewhere, they don't have a wine opener and they need to figure this out. We, Epicurious, long before I got there, wrote an article about this, and it ranks and it pulls in, thousands of unique hits a day. So it's very scary to take something that's archived. This is technically on our an archived piece for us, but it's still live, and it's very scary to change that because who knows? You change it, we bring it over, we could lose all that traffic. But eventually, Google is going to know. Google is going to say, okay, this is an old piece of traffic they haven't touched in years, and they're going to devalue it. So what we do is, and this is actually a good example here, this Easter thing. These are old recipes, old Easter recipes. This legendary leg of lamb with garlic and rosemary, an old gourmet recipe that we reshot. So we'll take something, we're going to take that wine article eventually, and we're going to make it better. We'll edit it. We'll make little tweaks to make it more in our voice. Give it a better headline. We'll optimize it. We'll give it a better social headline and a better SEO headline. We'll give it a new photo that will make it better. We'll just improve it with the hopes that it will be a better experience for our reader, be more in line with our brand, and it will not lose its ranking. Okay, but we're doing that slowly because if we did it all at once, we just have to be very careful. This type of thing, but this type of thing where we're adding new photos to recipes, or in a lot of cases adding photos to recipes that never had photos at all. That's not a risk. That's just an improvement and bringing it more into our brand. And we know that better photos are going to draw people in more, and that if a recipe doesn't have a photo, obviously a recipe with a photo is going to rank higher, going to show up in the Google, the AMP carousel, which don't even get me started on that. But it'll rank higher with the photo. So we do make changes slowly to our archive content.